A big paycheck can still be a trap. Some jobs don't just take your time, they take your brain. Picture someone doing everything right. Good job, good salary. The kind of paycheck they thought would finally make them feel safe. But every evening vanishes into takeout and a screen, money in the bank, and nothing left to build with. And the strangest part, the bigger the paycheck gets, the thicker the chain. The reason isn't the size of the number. It is a kind of capital almost nobody counts: your time, your energy, and your focus. When most people hear capital, they think money, cash, savings, a balance in an account. And money is capital, but it is the output, not the source. Money is what comes out. Your time, energy, and focus are the input that produces it. Every dollar you've ever earned was bought with hours and effort, which makes that input the more fundamental capital, the thing that makes all the money possible. And here is the catch. Unlike money, you can't save it. You can't bank today's energy for tomorrow. Every day you get a fresh fixed allowance, and every night, whatever you didn't use is gone. You either invested in something or you lose it. So the real question isn't only how much am I making? It is what am I doing with the capital that actually builds everything? Here is where the trap springs. Most people pour 100% of that capital, every hour, every ounce of energy, into one job in exchange for a paycheck. And if the job is demanding enough, you come home with nothing left, no time, no focus, which means you have nothing left to build anything else with. There is a name for this, borrowed from the world of high salaries, golden handcuffs. The pay is good. That is the gold. But the deal quietly locks you in. Those are the handcuffs. The job takes everything you've got. The income funds a life that now depends on that income. And stepping back starts to feel impossible. The better the pay for everything deal, the tighter the cuffs. And there is a sneakier effect when you're drained, mentally fried or stretched thin. You actually make worse long-term decisions. Pressure like this can narrow your mental bandwidth. You get more short-sighted. You reach for whatever numbs the stress tonight instead of what builds something for next year. So the trap feeds itself. The drain makes you too tired to escape the drain. We usually measure the cost of a demanding job in hours, 12-hour days. Weekends that vanish, but the real cost is bigger and almost invisible. It isn't just the hours you worked. It is the version of your life that never got built. Because here is the thing about skills, side projects, and small income streams. They compound, just like money does. A little bit of consistent effort, repeated over months and years, turns into something far bigger than the sum of its parts. But compounding needs a starting input, and a person who is completely drained never gets to make that first deposit. The cruelest part of the all-consuming job isn't the time on the clock. It is the compounding that never gets to start. So what is the fix? Let me tell you what it isn't. It isn't quitting tomorrow and gambling everything. That just trades one kind of stress for a worse one. And it isn't grinding a second job on top of the first until you burn out. That is just emptying the tank faster. The fix is smaller and steadier than that. It is protecting a slice of your capital, a small, consistent amount of time and energy, and refusing to let the job have all of it. You might have heard the personal finance rule: pay yourself first. Before you spend a paycheck, you move some into savings automatically, so your future gets funded before your present spends it all. This is the exact same idea applied to time and energy. Before the job and the obligations swallow the whole week, you carve out a small protected slice for yourself, and you guard it. And notice I said time and energy. This matters because they're not the same thing. An hour at the end of a brutal day, when you're completely fried, is almost worthless for building anything. An hour when you're fresh is worth 10 of those. So this isn't only about finding free hours. It is about protecting hours when you've actually got something left in the tank. Sometimes that means protecting your mornings. Sometimes it means choosing a slightly less draining setup, so the hours you free up are hours you can actually use. Okay? So you've protected a slice of capacity. What do you do with it? You build a second pillar. If your entire income comes from one job, one company, one boss, your finances are balancing on a single support. When that one support gives way, a layoff, a restructure, an industry that contracts, everything comes down at once. Two pillars are far sturdier than one. So the goal of that protected capacity is to slowly build one stream of income or one valuable skill that doesn't depend on your employer. Notice the word slowly. This is not a get-rich-quick pitch, and anyone selling you one is selling you a scam. Full stop. The realistic version is unglamorous. You pick one skill or one small service, you learn it in your protected hours. You find a real, specific problem that real people have, and you get a little better at solving it. The first results are tiny. That is normal. That is the first deposit. And the whole point is that it compounds. And as small earnings start to come in, the smartest move is usually to reinvest them right back into the skill or the tools, feeding the second pillar so it grows sturdier, instead of immediately spending it. Slow is fine, small is fine. It just has to be yours, and it just has to be uncorrelated with your paycheck. Once you start seeing time and energy as capital, you read a job offer differently. It is not one number, it is three: what it pays, what it costs you, and what it leaves you. Sometimes the highest paying option really is the best one, but sometimes a job that pays a little less and leaves you with real energy at the end of the day is the better deal, because it leaves you the capital to build a second pillar that, over time, could matter far more than the difference in salary. But, and this is the honest catch, that only works if you actually use the capacity. Freeing up your evenings and then spending every one of them the same way you'd have spent them while exhausted isn't a strategy, it is just less money. The trade only pays off if the protected slice goes toward building. This isn't a case for working less for its own sake. It is a case for spending your most valuable capital on purpose. So let's pull it together. Your paycheck is real capital, but it is not your only capital, and it might not even be your most important. Your time, your energy, your focus. That is the capital that builds everything else, and it is the capital almost everyone spends without thinking. A job that quietly takes all of it can trap you, no matter how good the number looks. The way out isn't a dramatic leap or a hustle that burns you down. It is protecting a small, steady slice of your time and energy, the way you'd pay yourself first, and pointing it, patiently, at building one thing that is yours. Quick reminder, this is a way of thinking, not personal financial advice. Your situation is your own. You don't need to escape overnight. You just need to stop handing over 100% of the only capital that can get you out. Protect a little, build a second pillar, and get your ducks in a row.